and will continue to produce.
Billions of money are still stuck somewhere. Despite Uganda's laws that seek to protect children, several social cultural norms that are harmful continue to be committed day by day. Ahead of the Day of the African Child, today on MINIBUZZ, we'll be looking at these practices and what we can do to protect our children from them.
And we'll also be asking you, what was your favorite game as you grew up? And would you let your child, as we speak, play those games?
Let's take it to MINIBUZZ.
Yeah, it's an open mic, passengers chosen right, where we can bring what we know to life. No topic off limits, no gimmick specific, giving a voice to the people for a minute.
Welcome to MINIBUZZ.
I want to a sound reminder that on Saturday we are beating Angola so that we can go to the World Cup. This is actually the time when Uganda may finally go to the World Cup. Well, China step in, but you know, kuzanya playoffs. Maybe to just be later, but for now we have to qualify. Today on the show, we are going to talk about the social, economic, cultural practices that are harmful to our children. 16th June was earmarked as the Day of the African Child. Ngera APCAN, together with other child agencies in Uganda, are going to do that. But this year's theme is eliminating harmful social and cultural practices affecting children. And our responsibility is the theme for this year. And the term harmful practice here is used to cover all traditional, customary, social and religious practices that are injurious to children's physical, psychological and social well-being, health education and general development. What do you think are some of these harmful practices?
Copying from what they see on the TV, what they read in the papers, what they hear the parents and the elders talk in the homes, and then they copy. This one picks or gives a chance to their brains to copy what they see. So if it comes to obscene things, they copy that and then put it to practice, which has destroyed their way of growing into responsible citizens.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Are there any cultural things
just to add on his, you find in most modern homes nowadays, you find a kid of 12 years, he goes along with the parents to club, to bath. Yes.
12 years old.
Yes.
Are there cultural practices that we do that literally deny
kids the right to go to
school?
In many parts of the country, children will not be allowed to go to school because it's planting season. You know, from whichever angle you look at it, everybody seems to have a point. I don't have money to hire laborers to be able to cultivate,
pay for your school fee.
To pay school fees, and there are those basic expectations I'm supposed to deliver on as a parent. However, the other thing is, while you push that position, you still have to remember that the other kids in school will continue to progress anyway. And when your child is back 1 month later, 2 weeks later, the teacher will not have the time to take them through what it is that they have missed out on. So in a way, you're failing your child as a parent.
There's one problem, which is medical still. If a kid is given a chance to look at the TV and then observe those obscene photographs, and then it implies her genetic hormones would get activated in a way that she's 14 by age, but if it comes to her hormones, she's more than 18.
She's 20.
So somebody is activated. Somebody is activated into a situation of requesting for what is not supposed to come to her age, because of what she is observing. So this is where we are.
Please help us highlight some of the other harmful practices.
A couple of others. One, I just wanted to say that about early marriage, for example, my mom's mom, my grandmother, got married at 12.
12 years.
She was married off at 12. And from her story itself, her opinion about early marriage, having gone through that experience, is, you know, very horrifying. So the thing is, you still are thinking as a child, you're reasoning as a child, the emotions boiling in your body and the hormones notwithstanding, the basic you are still a child. We see a lot of this when we get kids that have been defiled and all this, and they have gotten pregnant. And you know, when you're doing the counseling, the first time she'll tell you, but Auntie Helen, you don't even know what love means, do you?
Yeah.
And she's 14 and she's like, you don't know. And then you tell her, you'll be back here 1 year from now.
Right.
When you're carrying a pregnancy. And you know the stakes have changed.
Right.
But that aside, there are a couple of other things from our social practices that tantamount to harm to children. He talks about the one-room homes that some of us stay in for economic reasons, but also the fact that conjugal rights continue to happen. As a husband and wife, people still make out. You know, they have sex and they completely forget the fact that there are children listening and kids are inquisitive. They'll hear one thing and want to go the full 9 years, in fact 12. Things like the language that we use, the swearing. I mean, for fear of being obscene, but using the embwa figuratively. Mama, ekintu bwekiti. You know nabanga mu bantu. So omwana n'atandika okola ki? Okukozesa ebintu ebigambo ebyo, and it becomes really normal to them.
Right.
And when the parent hears them say that, then they've committed an offense. So there's a bit of double standards. When it's the parent who says it, it should be okay. And when it's the child who says it, then it's not okay and it calls for a penalty.
Right. Fantastic. Well, 16th June is the Day of the African Child, and if you're just joining us, the African Union chose eliminating harmful social and cultural practices affecting children, our responsibility, as the theme for this year. Bichibye tukola ebintu ebimuwela mu buwangwa bajje tubeera ebiri very dangerous to the welfare of our children. Let's look at Dr. Ansel Wandega, the Executive Director of APCAN Uganda. Butukomao Dr. Andika nawe nyabo. But namwe mu abazadde, please be a part of this conversation. Just go to Twitter, Facebook, and an SMS on your phone 6565. Take a look at this.
Harmful practices in the context of Uganda is a phrase used to cover all those social, customary, religious and traditional practices that injure children and impede their normal growth and development. The most commonest harmful traditional practices include child marriages, child labor, son preference, bride price, child trafficking, sexual abuse and exploitation, which includes defilement and commercial sexual exploitation of children, and violence against children with disabilities. It is estimated that around 66,000 children in Uganda are married. The other form is child trafficking, you know, especially internal trafficking, where most people go to the villages and get children, you know, deceive them that they are going to give them a better life in the urban area, in towns, and they end up exploiting them. They end up, you know, lining them on the streets to beg. Others are vending. Others are actually in commercial sex work. So, for us to eliminate the harmful practices, we need a multi-pronged approach, bring together all stakeholders. We know that we are dealing with issues of human rights, but we also know that we are dealing with issues of religion, of culture, and tradition. So the approach should bring on board each and every one. We know cultural leaders and traditional leaders are very important in this. They can use their voice to send a message which is positive, which can enable people to abandon the practices. But also we need legalistic approach, because there are some of these issues like defilement, which just needs, for instance, strengthening of the law enforcement system. As we celebrate the Day of the African Child, we are calling upon children to stand up against some of these practices. I know they are back at school, most of them are at school. I think the focus should be concentrating on their studies as they also do their other co-curricular activities that keep them grow.
I got a son preference. Most of you prefer your sons. Lwakuba omanyi omulenzi ye abamusika
abawala ebiro bino kankiteeka bwenki beba leadinga abalala ba president tubalaba ngaba Philippine na wano tubalina ba Iron Lady.
When you come out, then they call you an Iron Lady.
Meaning
You're not
exception.
Oh. It's nothing to do with what gender I am. It's everything to do with how I'm stimulated, how much I'm exposed, and how you raise me, you know, in terms of values, in terms of my abilities, both mental and physical.
What are those reasons you think parents give for giving away their children to get married that early? For sacrificing their own children?
For mutilating.
For mutilating? What are those things that you think force parents
the most reason why parents give of their children to marry off early is poverty.
Yeah.
Returns was the
innocent. How are we going to balance culture with developing trends? Because that's also one of the issues that has been raised. Right.
Are you going to town? Kampala Sebo.
Good morning. Don't worry. Everything is security is tight. Yes.
So parents need to even appreciate that before a child reports for their first day of school, they have been learning from the day you had them. So the kind of information you impart in them, you expose them to those days before they even go to school, to a great extent determines how they even relate with other aspects of life later on.
I was quite skeptical about this, but at the end of this discussion, I'm also going to benefit because I see we are doing so many things that are placing our children in danger. And Stella Bachibing on Facebook says child labor is equal to dropouts, child trafficking is loss of identity, child marriage is equal to loss of life, and all these forms affect the socio-economic progress of the country. I want quickly, like under a minute, what are we going to do? Gomwana wogena mu protecting water.
Kubeera naye nga buli we nandibadde nga oba kati kangeze agenda kusomera nga nfuba nnyo okulaba nga buli kiyandyegombye nsobola kimutuusaako era bwe mba sikimutuusizzaako nga ngezaako nnyo okulaba nga making sure omutima gwe gubeera wamu nti obudde bwonna kijja kukola ki kijja kujja ebiseera ebisinga problemu evaawo.
Yes, oyina abaana?
You are an upcoming father.
But yes, you're threatening father.
Threatening father.
What can we do to protect our children?
Well, you can make them your friends. You raise them as your friends. And also try to ask them who their friends are, the ones they are associating with, so that you get to know what time after school, where are they, but again you don't try to control them.
Yes, right.
Ebyoba osoma bijja kuyamba oluusi ojja kwejjusa nga siriiwo obeera ng'obisibwa mu mbeera embi kale olina omuteeka ku grade nti genda ku ssomero naye kitegeere nti oli munaku ogenda osome okuzefyusaayo osobole okuyambako baganda bo oba n'abantu abasigadde.
The greatest tool for us to protect our children is to give them the information. We cannot afford to be with them 24/7. However, the info that we give to them is what will enable them to make decisions, to be able to think through situations, and then be able to take actions. So that's extremely important. Toby Vita, nayo omanya nti, you know, there's a limit.
Right.
As buddies, Brian, you and I can be friends, but if you mess me up, I'll tell you off.
Please.
Right.
And I will tell you, Brian, I'm not happy.
Right.
And this is why I'm not happy. We need to be able to establish those kinds of relationships with our children.
Right.
That if a teacher is being funny at school, touching her bums, touching her breasts, she shouldn't think twice about telling daddy.
Right.
She'll be like, daddy, there's this, you know, teacher that I'm not comfortable with. But she cannot be able to do that, to tell you that if you have not built a relationship over time.
Well, those are things, I guess those are continuing issues. Day of the African Child, I want you to be a part of this. Just go to our Facebook page and get some of the information. Go to APCAN, go to Save the Children.
Share.
But for now, let me take a short break. When we come back, we'll be looking at your most favorite childhood games and whether you'd let your child
venture into them now. Bando. Tova, this is MINIBUZZ. Chogereko.
Welcome back, and we're still talking about the Day of the African Child, which is 16th June. But also, it's going to be Father's Day. But at Amwina, find something to do for your child. Of course, the theme is eliminating harmful social and cultural practices affecting children. The contacts are on your screen. Please be a part of this discussion.
And we're also asking, what were your favorite games when you were a child?
Cops and robbers.
Banana. Go alinga chimube.
Nze nalinga cop.
Omwana osobola omukiriza bizanya.
Kisinziira emizannyo, discoveries nyingi nnyo. So ebiseera bikyuka. So simanyi muzannyo kigwa n'abazannya technology.
Ya PlayStation. Kampala. Kampala.
Genda Kampala ma.
How are you, sir?
I'm alright, mister. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome.
What are those games you used to play when you were a child?
To me, what the common game that I played was the so-called Kauna something.
Kauna.
This one?
Pax Kauna.
But for us, we used to call it Abokoto in our
the
other Eastern language. Yes.
It's called Abokoto.
Abokoto.
Okay.
So they would tap on you, and you would have the task to chase after someone
and
also tap on him.
Then run away from
whoever you do tap would be the one to what? To look for another person to tap. Right. That was the whole thing.
Your best game.
Would you let your child play Abokoto now?
But that was safe. That was too safe.
Too safe.
To me, I feel it was
so
too
you will
safe.
let your child play Abokoto?
You will.
Isaba wali ozanya kyokusinga mu kyali mu.
Okusinga kuba ebiseera ebisinga mbadde kibuye nga waliwo ekitaawo ekyo kyolaba ekyo kyekatwa ekyo wansi awo mu kinnya awo nga waliwo omupiira obudde bwonna oluusi kyanyiriza nnyo ndowooza ne bazadde bange kuba nalekangayo oluusi ebyokukola olw'omupiira nga nina n'ensamba omupiira nyinza ogenda ku makya walingawo ebikajjo sawa ya lanchi nga ne wembasizza eyo olyamu ekikajjo naye nga omanyi nti we naddayo ngenda kugumira ki kibooko kati obudde bwa leero ebintu bye twandibadde oluusi obanga twewalaba okusobola okukola ki
Bugula. What was your favorite childhood game?
Basically, the games we used to play, it was football and maybe chess.
Chess?
Not these modern chess. Draft. Basically, draft. Not chess. So those were some of the games. We would make some boards and we paint them black and white, sort of.
Right.
Snakes and ladders.
Not snakes and ladders. Snakes and ladders we used to play when at least we were a bit grown up.
Yes. For them they were rich at their home.
I know, because by the time you play those, that's being rich at home.
Yes, if you play snakes and ladders and draft. Muri bagaga.
I'm not telling you that.
My favorite game is dodgeball.
Dodgeball, yes. I also like dodgeball.
Dodgeball kwe kwepena.
Dodgeball is done for putting your dress in the liquor like
Kwepena.
this. And you jump. Yeah, all those ones.
Yeah, it was my favorite game. Yes, and when I look back, I was of course like a tenth of my current size, so I was, light and would jump any, heights, and yeah, very much fun.
Would you let your young boy play?
Absolutely.
Okwepena.
Yes.
Okay.
I would.
Yeah, I remember in my former school it was forbidden by the to play that game.
Okwepena was forbidden.
Because boys would gather around and begin peeping at so they would earn canes and so
some girls would really kwepena. They are up to this one.
Yeah, but things have changed. You have tracks and all that. PE tracks. So when it's time for PE, abanda tebagenda kugenda mbitete yo bamusikana.
Bayambala bushorts.
Bayambala bushorts bwabwe buli nice and decent oba bu track suits obwabwe.
Ebedda byali byakujja mu ngoyi.
Zenda nagalanga
Bina.
Ekyasooka gwali mupiira ngoli sitabone nga nkubira ddala. Ekyokubiri nali njagala nnyo
ludo
ngaterako omuzanyi ewaka. Ekyokusatu nali njagala nnyo okutuula n'abazeeyi kuba nga mbafunamu drama engeredde dda nga zinyamba kinene nnyo era nsanga omusajja nga myaka 6 nanumbiza ati muna edda twakiranga wetuti nansanuka era nenumizako ne maama wange.
Right. There were games like 7 stones. Nze nazanyako 7 stones. Nga ndi muzibu nnyo.
Yes.
It was a combination of okwepena and piling the stones. But you had to have a lot of speed. Nakapila wekamuka. Wekamuka obopanzenga ngaku no gayiwa. No. My friend. Dulu twasosa buno budulu obwa that tree then netandika mabo nga oleta dulu netujasa ne mabo.
Then there's this thing of hopping. I don't know what they used to call it. Like jump, then build houses, and then you have people jumping, doing long jump. But my favorite was Daddy and Mommy. That was my favorite game. I was always the house girl. But take a look at games of Zeda. What kind of games? You can't just be climbing my. What kind of? You think I'm stupid? You climb my daughter on top like you should drive, and then it's why aren't you praying from there? Where I can see? How old are you?
13 years.
13, and you are that tall. How tall do you think you're going to be when you are 20? Don't you have other boys you can go and play with? You cannot find other boys and play with them.
No, I have only her.
What kind of games are these that you play when I'm not around?
Mommy, we play, do you know Shegali?
What is that?
Yes, you do. And after you
don't pass through. Will you stop passing through my... What is this? You people think I am stupid. You think I'm stupid? You pass it down and his legs and pass it down. What is wrong with you people? What is this? What goes on when I'm not here?
Mommy, also play hide and seek. Do you know how to do? Then after he comes and finds you and we sleep.
Then you go under the bed.
Yes.
So you think people must think I am extremely stupid. Because those are the games we used to play. How do you think you were born in the first place? How do you think you came into existence? I was playing hide and seek with your father. We've even played those ones of Daddy and Mommy. And that's why you are reason. So I think I'm going to wait for you to fast it.
Maybe.
Spoil my daughter, and then I let you go.
Now, Encha tugenda kutunulira what is very important now. Just the other week, Bagamba, there's no blood in hospitals.
The blood bank is
Yeah, we'll be looking at the blood scarcity in the country and what the Ministry of Health is doing to avert that.
Tumale tukubuze, do you know your blood group? Some of you think because there's wali on Z. Do you know? Twagenze ku streets to nuliro laba abantu bye bayogera.
important to know your blood group actually, because I realized one time when one of my brothers got sick, and I had to take him to the hospital. And first we never knew the blood group, and then until they first tested the blood group which he has, that's when I knew that knowing your blood group is important.
Nisimanyi mbeera ya bulamu bwange naye bwe namanya mu group yange kiba kinyamba nnyo eba ngenze mu ddwaliro sobola okumanya muzeeni wa group bweti ne bampa omusaayi gwo gwennyini oba ne mba ngugaba nga nguyamba oyo wa group yange kubeera ng'akola ki ng'agufuna nga era gumuyamba.
In case I have much blood, I can donate to somebody who has race blood, who has the same group like mine.
I do know my blood group, and it's vital to know your blood group. It can save your life. If unfortunately something happens and time is of the essence and someone has to give you a blood transfusion, you have to know what to tell them, the type to give you, because it might mean life or death.
Today we've talked about the African child and some of the cultural practices that harm them. Bintu tukola whether mu byobuwangwa oba ewaka ebihaminga abaana. And of course Raj Ndaula says most prominent people in Uganda engaged in child labor in order to get school fees. If a child is not going to school, what option is logical? Well, at the end of the day, omwana wa ali mu trouble, so you are the one to save them. I like what you say. Children are our primary business.
Whether it has to be given.
Yes. Otherwise, if you are not yet to be, if you're not ready to be a parent, don't have sex. That's what I think.
Also unprotected.
Unprotected sex. You have no business having sex. But tomorrow, we want to apologize for yesterday. Our show at Seka Market didn't air. Please accept our apologies. But for now,